everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar for HEC Paris Master Program in Innovation and Entrepreneurship with Coursera. My name is Diana, and I'm one of the enrollment counselors. And joining me today are Saddam, fellow enrollment counselor, who will be monitoring the live chat today for your questions, as well as Alessia, who will be helping us behind the scene. So we'll start today with a program overview, followed by very brief program structure and some insights into the application process. But most importantly, we will dive deeper today into the student experience and conclude with a live Q&A with one of our HEC program managers. And we'll be taking your questions from the chat. So please, as the presentation goes, pop those questions in the Q&A chat box down below. And we will try and address them during webinar as well as at the end during live Q&A. And as you've seen, the recording will be shared with everyone in the next few days. Wonderful. So to start us off, I would like to introduce you to a very special guest joining us today, Joanne Davignon, who is a program manager at HEC Paris. So she'll be sharing today a little bit more information about the student experience, dive deeper into some of kind of program structure, and of course, be able to answer your questions. So Joanne, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to share a little bit of an introduction from your end?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me, Diana, and thank you very much for all of you for joining this session. It looks great, a great number of participants. So yes, I'm Joanne. I come from Canada, and I have been living and working in different countries in Europe, working at HEC Paris in executive education, so with executives for 12 years. And basically, my role is to make sure that you all have the best learning experience, learning journey during the program. And I'll be happy to tell you a little bit more about it in a few minutes. Thank you and welcome to this webinar.
Thank you, Joanne, for the warm introduction and welcome. And indeed, let's dive into program overview right now so that we can move through the deck and get all your questions answered very shortly. So let's start with some insights into HEC Paris, which is an institution that has been shaping the leaders of tomorrow for over 140 years and has very in-depth understanding of the impact of change. It is currently ranked as #1 business school in Europe by Financial Times for the 5th year in a row and takes the lead as the top business school in Europe for educating CEO Fortune Global 500 companies. This degree is 100% online and flexible, and it is designed for busy working professionals. So with this program, you can study from #1 business school in Europe whilst not having to leave your home or workplace, which I think is truly incredible. And on the next slide, I wanted to give you a bit of an idea sort of how this program may prepare you for a career at very influential level. So your skills and knowledge, as well as the mindset developed through the program, will allow you to deliver enormous value to others, become a valued asset for any team, including, of course, any management positions. And we are often asked, what might be the job prospects after completing the degree, especially if students are not looking to maybe start their business. So I would say, as you will see also on the slide, there are a number of possibilities here. The program will really help you to move to those more senior leadership positions. You may become entrepreneur within the organization, but also for any professional looking to increase their career and earning potential. And really, it is aimed at aspiring company founders, innovation consultants, business development managers, and this is just to name a few examples. On the next slide, we will share some further insights into the recent graduate destinations, so you're able to see some real-world examples from the students who completed the program very recently. So over here, I'll give you a second to obviously have a look at the slide, but students apply their newly acquired skills in a range of sectors, so such as technology, financial services, consulting, healthcare, energy, and more. And also, majority of students continued their growth with existing employer, often securing higher paying jobs and more senior positions. But we also see the significant number of graduates starting new jobs, either at another company or then by starting their own business. And part of why this program is so successful is because of the combined input from the academic faculty and practicing entrepreneurs in creating this rigorous curriculum. So HEC Paris faculty features world-class academics who are at the forefront of research and teaching in business disciplines like strategy, organizational design, leadership, entrepreneurship, and much more. Many professors have very impressive real-world experience and are entrepreneurs, consultants, or corporate executives themselves. So I would say here the combination of their research, teaching, and practical experience really allows the HEC Paris academics to bring the cutting-edge ideas and knowledge to preparing the next generation of business leaders and managers. So for the executive pathway, your academic director will be Professor Svenja Sommer, and for the two-year master program, that will be Professor Denisa Mendruta. And of course, you will be able to learn more about your instructors during onboarding module. Wonderful. So in the next few short videos, we just want to take some time to introduce you to the executive pathway, so just one of the pathways. So let's have a look.
Innovation and entrepreneurship have always been an integral part of our DNA at HEC Paris. Being Europe's top-ranked business school, we have a long history of teaching and pioneering research in these subjects. We are constantly innovating and updating our learning approach for both our in-person and online courses. And by launching this cutting-edge degree for business leaders and entrepreneurs, we are putting our entrepreneurial spirit to the test by building on our research and teaching excellence. The program also embodies our core values at HEC Paris, which are excellence, curiosity, diversity, responsibility, and entrepreneurial spirit. You will obtain an MSc degree from one of the leading business schools in the world without having to leave your home or workplace. You'll also be joining a very large, highly diverse, and extremely influential network. This will give you the opportunity to meet and share best practices with respected business people from across the globe and successful entrepreneurs online. Although this is a 100% online program, we actively encourage you to join us and experience HEC Paris campus and ecosystem during our in-person events, where you'll have the chance to network with fellow executive MSIE innovators and entrepreneurs. You will also have the opportunity to gain hands-on experience of Station F, the world's largest startup campus, through in-person workshops with industry experts. I look forward to welcoming you to our highly diverse family of responsible, curious, and entrepreneurial professionals in the near future.
Fantastic. And we have just one more to introduce you to, the second part.
The program is run over a period of 18 months and has two main components: the fundamental phase courses and the team project phase courses. During the 12-month team project phase, participants get the opportunity to work on a real-life project as a team and gain the necessary skills to commercialize an idea, a product, a technology, or a business proposition. The program also features pitch training sessions with industry experts and community building sessions, which create strong and long-lasting bonds between the participants and enables them to leverage the collective intelligence of their peers. The program is aimed at executives with at least 8 years of professional experience wishing to improve their career trajectories, launch their own company, or bring a more innovative culture and entrepreneurial practices to an existing business. The program is therefore ideal for professionals who want to prepare for a career as an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, as a consultant in innovation management, or as a member of the executive team responsible for launching innovative projects.
Amazing. Well, hopefully give you a bit of a glimpse in terms of the expectations or what the executive pathway can offer you. And we will be covering obviously some maybe differences into the second pathway that's available, which is 2-year master program as well. So for now, before we jump into the program structure, I also want to spend just a minute here to introduce you to some insights from the class cohort of June 2024. Which first of all shows how diverse the program is in terms of the professional backgrounds, different nationalities, and also the executive track, I would say, attracts more seasoned professionals in senior leadership roles with average of 13 years of work experience, while the 2-year master program, it draws somewhat younger students with average of 7 years of work experience, of course, across various domains. So now, let's move on to that next slide where we'll be reviewing 2 pathways in more detail. So by now, you're likely to be aware there are 2 pathways within this master program, executive and standard MSIE. And some of the differences between 2 of them will be covered in these next few minutes. So standard MSIE is the best path if you are an early stage professional or developing business leader. It requires only 2 years or more of significant work experience, as opposed to 8 or more years for the executive master program. So students in this pathway will have an opportunity to choose leadership electives if they may wish to learn more about leading organizations or inspiring people. There are also some non-credit block of business games at the beginning of the program and really gives you opportunity to connect with your fellow classmates during that period. Also, standard master program is a little longer in duration since it is involving a master thesis at the end. Executive master students will need to demonstrate extensive work experience in fairly senior roles in order to be accepted onto this pathway. You would have at least 8 years of post-bachelor work experience behind you and already many skills and attitudes in place to drive business development and create change. But then once on this program, you would be able to benefit from the community building sessions, some in-person activities, and of course the interactive networking sessions to help you get to know each other and of course prepare for the team project phase, which will involve a lot of collaboration. Amazing. So now on the next slide, I just want to give you visual representation of the program structure. So if you just move on one slide ahead, amazing, thank you. So here, this is essentially program structure for the 18 months executive master degree program, where you will study 20 separate courses in total, grouped around distinct program stages. Saddam will share, however, a link with you in the chat, which will give you a detailed outline of the curriculum for the executive pathway. And on the next slide, this is the visual representation of the 2-year master program. Note that this pathway does include additional 6 months for thesis, where you will pursue your individual research project and submit a business plan. So ultimately, the thesis is the sum of all your learning and knowledge from the program and gives you a chance to prove your capabilities in the chosen field. Again, for detailed curriculum, please have a look at the link that Saddam shared in the chat earlier. And right now, yeah, I guess we're ready to move on to go over the tuition fees. So for this program, the total tuition fee for the 2-year master program is 22,950 euros, and the executive pathway is at 24,950 euros. The tuition is divided into 4 installments, so you don't have to pay the total tuition fee in one go. Instead, you can split it, starting with a deposit payment of 5,000 euros. Normally, it's due around 7 days after you receive an offer, but then there are remaining 3 installments, which are due 3, 6, and 9 months after you start on the program. And of course, you'll see the exact amount on the slide here. The only thing worth mentioning is that payment is done online using a credit card, bank transfer, wire transfer directly to HEC Paris through your student portal. A quick note to say about the scholarship. So whilst there are unfortunately no scholarship options available for this program, I would encourage students to explore possibility, let's say, of maybe employer sponsorship as well as bank loans. And for French residents based in France, they can tap into their CPF funding as well. Amazing. So now let's review admission requirements. To be eligible for the executive master degree, applicants must have a bachelor's degree in any field, a minimum of 8 years of professional experience, potential project idea, and a good command of written and spoken English. Now, with the 2-year master program, if you have a bachelor degree, you will then need to have a minimum of 2 years of significant work experience. But in those cases where students may not have a bachelor's, they must demonstrate then a minimum of 6 years of significant professional experience. So at the moment, I just wanted to check, Alyssa, would we continue with our poll question for today? I think we may want to give you an opportunity to run a quick poll just to have a better understanding to see where you may be in your academic journey. So if you don't mind just spending a brief minute sharing with us at which stages you are, and I completely understand you may be just researching your options, perhaps you already applied, and that would allow us to provide you better guidance in future. So take your time to fill in. It's just a single choice question, but would be great to hear your insights. So I think that should give us a good understanding. So thank you so much for filling in the question. Now let's move on then to couple of final slides before I pass on to Joanne. Now, application process. Here, I just want to spend a minute or two just to introduce you to the expectations when you put forward your application. So first of all, Saddam will share a link to the application with you in the chat. Application is slightly different for the two pathways. So if you are applying for the 2-year master program, you'll only need to answer 2 essay questions compared to 5 for the executive pathway. And if you do not have a bachelor degree, again, you'll need to ensure you have a minimum of 6 years of experience for the 2-year program. Again, on the right-hand side of the screen, there will be all the requirements and things you may need to include as part of your application. However, a quick note to say on the 2 professional referees. So as we are approaching the end of the recruitment and the cohort will begin very, very soon, I would strongly encourage, as you start working on your application, one of the first things would be to complete that referee section. So that way, by the time you complete your application, your referees also had a chance to provide reference for you, and the process for them is extremely fast. It's a very short link for them to complete via email and shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. But it's quite an important step to ensure your application is not delayed and being processed in a fast manner. Also, if you would like to go for a detailed walkthrough of the application, Saddam will drop a link in the chat. So that will be the recording from our webinar back in August, where my colleague Sarah joined the session as well to provide really tips and recommendations for how to strengthen your application. So minute 19 will provide you all the information needed. Great. So now what happens after you submitted your application? So first of all, when you put forward the application, there is a non-refundable fee of 100 euros, and then your application gets reviewed by the admission committee, and the final decision gets to send to associate professor for that final review. You should aim to receive a decision within sort of 2 weeks on average, assuming your referees also responded and all is fine with your application. And also for those in the process now of applying, just want to notify the deadline has been extended to the 2nd of December, with the onboarding beginning on 9th of December. So there is still a chance to put forward and finalize your application if you're in the process of working. And now, for our main part of the event, I do want to pass to Joanne from HEC Paris to provide you a little bit more insights into student experience. So Joanne, over to you.
Thank you very much, Deanna. It's very clear. What you've explained is very clear. Thank you. So what I find the most important to say about this program, this fully online program is, well, yes, it is fully online. And as it was said before, that gives you a great flexibility to, well, all of you executives to run the program at the same time as your professional and personal lives. So this is a great advantage. And yes, it is a fully online program. And yes, it is a human experience, okay? During which the 18 months or the 24 months, you will be able to benefit from the HEC ecosystem that we're going to see in a minute on the next slide. So why is it, why do I believe it is a very valuable human experience is that throughout the program, you will be offered the HEC Paris resources ecosystem, which is vast, okay, to start with your program manager, okay? As I said earlier on, my role is to make sure that you have access to all the resources and that you have a enhanced learning program, okay? And then for most courses, you have live sessions, okay? So all the academic content, exercises, assignments, and everything are on the Coursera platform. But because we need to interact with HEC professors, okay? For most courses, you will have 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 live sessions with them, where you will be able to exchange with them, ask them questions about the courses or about any points that you're experiencing in your job. Right. We mentioned before the team project that will last 12 months. So during this team project, you will get, well, personalized support from well, individual support or team support, since you will be working with teammates. So coach support, mentoring by business leaders and by experienced entrepreneurs. Okay, they will be following you for 12 months, if need be, if you contact them, if you request support. The HEC library databases experts are there to help you customize your research during the team project or with the thesis for the MSc participants. Your MSIE classmates, okay, your group, and also, of course, it was said before, and this is probably the most valuable, lifelong support is the MSIE and HEC alumni network. Okay, we'll give you some details about it in a few minutes, but this is valuable, and as soon as you start the program, you will have access to the HEC alumni network. Okay, you won't need to wait until you finally graduate. You will be an HEC alum right from the start. Okay, so it will be up to you to reach out to this valuable network and use it. Okay. If we go to the next slide, it was said during the little videos, but we also, when possible, we also organize some in-person opportunities. So we've given examples of what we have done in the past, and which have been very much appreciated. So a campus tour, we're slightly outside of Paris, and HEC probably has the largest campus in Europe. And then, well, networking events, and of course graduation festivities, as you have seen in the video. So we talked about the alumni network. So on the next slide, so on top of this, I mean, these are figures, okay? But as I said, you will be given access to their dashboard as soon as you start the program. You also have access to the various HEC chapters that we have around the globe. Again, all the addresses and all the contact details are available on their website, okay? If you cannot come to Paris for to visit the campus or to some event, there are hundreds and hundreds of in-person networking activities throughout all our chapters in London, in New York, in in Shanghai, in you name it, okay? The detailed list will be given to you in the website. And maybe the next slide will show you that you also, as part of the executive community, so executive community will be particularly useful for you through LinkedIn, with the group platform and all the exchanges and networking opportunities as well. Okay, so we've talked a lot. Maybe is there what is the next slide? Maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
Joanne. Thank you for first
Perfect.
of all providing very good detailed insights about student experience. I think it's always valuable to hear from someone directly with HEC, working with numerous students who are on the program. So really valuable context and insight there. So thank you so much. And indeed, we are now in our main part, which is also the live Q&A with students. So first of all, for anyone with us until this point, I would like to encourage you to use this opportunity to pop any questions you may have to the chat. We'll try and address as many as we can, obviously live. And also my colleague Sedam is following up with some questions now as well. So we have some already, John, so we can perhaps start with some. And one question is from Yara. To understand, how does HEC Paris help students to work on real startup problems during the program?
Startup problems. Well, first of all, the interaction I mentioned earlier on with the professors is one way to exchange with them and talk about startup problems, issues, etc. Okay. The other way is during the team project, you will be working on well, all the I would say the specific elements of a startup, whether it is financial, whether it is the business plan, the strategy, etc. So as I mentioned earlier, participants can benefit from well, office hours with HEC professionals and and professional entrepreneurs, and as I said, the alumni network, okay, to discuss with alumni who are entrepreneurs. So there's a variety. There's a huge variety of.
Amazing. Thank you, Joanne. And we actually have a follow-up question from the same student, Yara, who wanted to better understand perhaps the support that HEC Paris may offer to students looking to fund their startups. So I don't know if you might be able to share any insights on this. I can definitely add as well to that, but wondered from your perspective if you can think of maybe any specific examples for like that funding support for the startups.
There again, during the team project, there are some mentoring sessions that are offered, support and mentoring about this in particular. We will not tell you, we will guide you through the various ways that are possible. Okay, but yes, this is what, I hope it answers your question.
I think it definitely does, because it leads nicely into the further kind of insight I want to share, which is with once students join, amongst many student support that John already mentioned, you also will have office hours with focusing on different teams. There are entrepreneurship office hours, marketing office hours. So these are great to really get those ideas, like John mentioned, that guidance, which will help you to understand how the funding may work, and also making the most of those connections and networks, because some alumni who maybe done some other programs or maybe the same degree for that matter, they may have some tips on that funding element as well. So worth having that connection and sharing the knowledge. But yes, hopefully that clarifies your question.
Absolutely.
So there are a few more in the chat. And again, I would like to encourage everyone to pop any questions you may have. There's no silly question here. We'll try and do our best to address them all. But one is actually coming from several students where, and usually it comes from students based in France, to understand how would the program look like for French-speaking students. Is there a version of it in French? Is
No.
there any way? So it's all fully in English and.
Yeah, and in what you mentioned, Diana, earlier on, I mean, a excellent command of English language is important, because I mean, all the contents are in English, and all the interactions that you have with the others, with the other participants or students, is in English. So it is, it is very important.
Exactly. That's definitely worth keeping that in mind, especially since how international this program as well is, with students from many different countries coming together. So
yes.
And it's all delivery in English. One other student, Justice, would like to know whether there are any particular offices based in Kenya for HEC Paris.
The best way to go about it is to, well, once you join, because I don't know the list of all the chapters by heart. I know that, I mean, we're very active in Africa, whether it is North Africa, Western countries, and in the East as well. But we could look and let you know, but the best way is to, well, register and then get the details of our chapters near where you live.
Exactly. Yes. I think that's probably the most sensible choice, just to double check on all those different regions. So thank you, Joanne, for that clarification. Another question from Magali is, if student has completed innovation management and entrepreneurship certificate, what would be the prices for the master and executive pathway. So something I'm happy to take on board. So Magali, if you already completed successfully the certificate and you passed all the examinations and now looking to apply to the program, you're right, the credits would be put forward towards some of the courses you already completed, but that also includes the price reduction. So 4,000 euros would be taken then into account and removed from the total fee of your master program. So obviously, I'll allow you to do the mathematics, don't want to give you the wrong answer, but essentially from the initial price for the 2-year program for the executive pathway, you can safely deduct 4,000 euros since you already completed university certificate. So that's for the question about the fees. Now, we have another question from Yara, and again, happy to take it, which is around some examples of successful startup launched by HEC students and what set it apart. So we actually run series of alumni webinars where recently we had some students who were actively working on their startup, which happened whilst they were on the program. So I would encourage Yara to have a look at our recordings for alumni webinars, but also if you would like, we can connect, have one-to-one chat. I'll share with you the links for our previous sessions. And that's probably the best way to learn on some of the students, their startups as a result, and also LinkedIn would be a great way for that. But Joanne, is there anything that you may want to add about maybe something that you remember stood out for you with some successful startups?
Well, your information is very detailed. No, this is very good advice that you've given.
Fantastic. So moving on, and we now have way more questions. I really hope we have enough time to answer them all. So one question from Joanne. What about the team working schedules and also the class schedules? How does it work for students in different time zones, for example, Latin America and Asia? How do you help them to manage those kind of simple but important issues? So kind of bring it together. The question is really about what support is there to maybe help students navigate different time zones for this particular program?
Well, first of all, I think that, the Coursera platform for this is very well done because you automatically do your own settings according to your time zones, okay? And the information you will get will be adapted, will be in line with your time zone. Now, we said it earlier, this program is a degree program, okay? Yes, it's a degree, fully online program. The work is, as I would say, dense as if you were on campus. The only thing is that it gives you more flexibility to take your courses, okay? So generally speaking, for the first part of the program, most core courses last 4 weeks. Okay, so you have graded assignments with 1 week, 1 week to complete. Okay, so 2 programs running in parallel, and you have to do the work, okay, when you want, bearing in mind the deadlines. Okay, during the second part of the program, that is run in parallel with the team project, the courses are open 2 months, okay? So that you have more time to get organized and to schedule your graded assignments, your final exams, group work as well. And in the onboarding course, there is valuable guidance on how to get organized, okay, to do the work. And so at the beginning, it's a bit, it's a bit difficult because you haven't done it, but believe me, throughout years that this program has run, and it's also my role to guide you in this. So this is where I can help, but you get organized and you combine your professional, your personal, and your HEC calendars, and you manage very well the deadlines.
Amazing. Very, very detailed and spot on clarification, Joanne. Appreciate it. Now we have a series of questions from Romaric, and I suspect it's probably something that actually perhaps some of the live events in future done by the professors, entrepreneurs may provide that further clarification. But curious to hear from your perspective, Joanne. So a student would like to know what are the advantages of the online entrepreneurship from a technological perspective. So for example, what are the strategies and rules for a successful entrepreneur to develop their business? So I'm happy for you to give it a go, but sounds like that may be a question perhaps to one of the academics, and for future maybe networking events or those master classes where often these type of questions are addressed in the discussion, and perhaps maybe there may be some events coming up like that you're aware of, John.
Well, I mean, what I would say is that each course, okay, gets you step by step to your, strategy, your, all the various business models, finance, HR management, private equity. And so, the program is a toolbox, okay? It's not only theory, okay? You are given a toolbox to use it, okay, during the team project phase. You are expected to show that when you prepare for your VC investors pitch at the end of the program, you have to put in place what you have learned concretely and behave like someone who's pitching in front of a board of potential business angels. Okay, so there is some theory because you have to practice and do exercises and do some research, but at the end of the day, you are showed how to launch a business. Okay, so this is why it's an executive program. It's a hands-on executive program.
Fantastic. And I think the second question from a different student, again, leads nicely to what you mentioned right now about the toolkit, the theoretical insight, but also that kind of practical applications, which is about the support that students can receive to help them turn those innovative ideas into market-ready products. So I believe here, again, it's tapping into the fact that there are a series of courses on different topics that really would allow to develop those strategies and develop those innovative ideas into market-ready products. And I think the other thing to add is the access to some coaches. You would have coaching available throughout your program, again, for that type of support and assistance. Office hours, as we mentioned earlier, and opportunity to connect with academics during those live kind of webinars for further guidance and insights. John, anything you would like to add on that?
That's crystal clear to me.
Perfect. So thank you, Yara, for your question as well. Now, Anna, a question from Anna is that she referencing the mention that you made earlier about taking advantage of some in-person activities on campus should they enroll. Will they have access to a calendar of events to know what to expect and when for those in-person events?
Oh, yes, of course. The way we communicate is simple. Months ahead of time, since we know that people are busy, they're all over the world, and they really need to get organized in order to travel and attend something that is, so we send a save the date a long time in advance so that you block it in your calendar. And then we send invites with a link to register, etc. And another thing that is extremely powerful and helpful, and there are way more events going on, is again through the HEC chapters that are not far from you. I mean, could be near you, and that we strongly recommend you to use, okay? And of course, all these resources are there for you, okay, for you all, but you have to use them. You have to reach out to people. You have to look at calendars of activities, and whenever you hear something going on because you receive the newsletter of your local chapter, I mean, the entrepreneurial spirit that is expected from you is there. You have to be proactive, and you have to so we provide the resources, but you really have to make the most out of them and make them happen, okay? So
Indeed. So basically taking that initiative to really propel yourself to where you want to be and use all the resources that are available to you sums it pretty nicely. Thank you, Joanne. Another question from Grant. So it's two-part question. Let's start with the first one, which is in terms of weight of the executive degree, I would imagine the EMSIE, how does the executive path compare to the EMBA program? So the executive.
Well, it's a very good, I think it's a very good question. And as a matter of fact, I was program manager for the EMBA at HEC Paris for many years. And I can say that, and as I said earlier, I think that I compared this fully online master's program. You are expected to work as much as a fully on-site program. So yes, be prepared to do a lot of personal work, but also group work with your classmates. Group work is the key to success. Group work is the key to success, and in order to be an entrepreneur, you can't be a successful entrepreneur on your own, okay? And during the program, you will learn how important it is to work in teams, because during the courses, you can't be an expert in all the subjects, okay? And so this is where the group helps move on, learn, etc.
Excellent. And I think you mentioned you were also program managing the executive MBA. So were there anything particular that stood out to you in terms of maybe some differences between the executive master focusing on innovation entrepreneurship versus maybe those executive MBA programs, where I am aware there is some overlap, but I would say there may be also quite similar differences there. So I wondered if anything that stood out to you in terms of either similarities or maybe differences.
Well, the executive MBA is a generalist program, okay, for people who want to change sector, or they want to have a higher managing position, VC or CEO positions, whereas this program prepares you, gives you all the tools and the knowledge to create, I mean, we talked about entrepreneurship as well as entrepreneurship. We really concentrate on innovation and entrepreneurship, whether the EMBA is more generalist.
Indeed, yes, I think that's what probably the main focus on the entrepreneurship and innovation, which student has the spark and interest in the area, then definitely the EMSIE might be a better fit, because it's very focused and allows you to develop that toolkit and practical insights. Thank you, Joanne. And to answer the second part of your question, Grant, about any data, what quantifies perhaps the impact of the degree on the career, salary increases, and similar, we had actually earlier the slide that addresses your questions. So we'll share the recording so you can have a look at that. But that's more for maybe quantifiable impact. There's also some qualitative data or insights we could share, which probably is accessible through those alumni webinars, where at the end of the day, those recent alumni or not long so graduated alumni, they do share the effect of the program on their current or future careers. And that may be another way to understand what to expect, what is that actual impact on their lives and careers. So we're combining the two. Amazing. So moving on. Now, let's see. There is a question from Melina about the difference in market value between an HEC diploma and HEC Coursera diploma. So happy to take that forwards. So essentially, if you're referring to the master degree, executive or the 2-year master program, then when you graduate, even though the program is hosted on Coursera, you would graduate from HEC Paris institution, meaning that the diploma is fully and directly issued by HEC Paris, and it's not mentioning Coursera there or that it was done online. So at the end of the day, the value of the diploma is there since it's issued by HEC, and as you know, #1 leading business school in Europe and very prestigious with a reputation worldwide. So hopefully that covers your question, but please feel free to follow up if you wanted to understand something else about that, Melina. And Yara, to clarify your question, if there are any rewards or certificates for attending this webinar, there's no certificate as such. The reward probably is the insights that you hopefully gain from the session today and the information from Joanne that she shared. And again, we'll share the recordings to reflect and watch back. So that is it. And let's see, there's a few more questions. I'm conscious of time, so trying to ensure we cover them all, but also not to overrun. Magali, so question from Magali is, what is the age of the oldest students who followed those programs? I'm not really sure of the top median, but John, maybe you remember what might have been the age of the oldest participants there?
Oh, this is a good question. I would say that I knew 2 very senior, outstanding participants, one of which was a class delegate. Over when they started the program, they were, one was 65 or so, and the participant I had who graduated in 2023, when he joined the program, he was 62. So, yeah.
You may be actually right. I just had a look at our data, so kind of like summarizing the average age of participants. And indeed, you're right, there was reaching to 65, and then there's also 52 as the limit, but it always varies. It varies based on the cohort. And the good news is there's no really age restriction as such, as long as you meet the admission criteria. And naturally, that probably means you're a little bit more maybe on the mature side, since you would need to have work experience and bachelor degree completed.
And also, more senior executives have a lot to bring to their group work, and sometimes younger folks do also, they have something to bring, and the work together is quite amazing. So it's we are privileged to be able to have executives from different age.
Amazing. That's so exactly very, very diversified program, and hopefully that clarifies your question as well. Now we have one more remaining from Samuel. So Owen, he would like to understand how customized how customized is the curriculum for someone who has a specific entrepreneurial idea or industry focus?
I would say that a possible customization depends on every person. I mean, this is why I like to talk about the HEC ecosystem. I mean, entrepreneurship and innovation is part of our DNA. People who want to customize something during and after, of course, but during their program have to go get the information and the network and speak to people who will recommend them to. It's a fantastic way to use your entrepreneurial skills, is to go for it. Okay, it is possible to dive deeper in certain industries, or but we will be there to guide you through and say, go ahead, this is what's available for you on the HEC alumni website, for example, and ask professors about it. You can ask professors about it. And so this is how you move on, and this is how you explore, and this is how you can customize your learning journey, because resources are there for you.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, John, earlier, it's another way to maybe bring that customization to your industry focus or particular entrepreneurship ideas that you have is during the team project. So this is where you're not really limited to a particular idea. You can put forward any ideas that you may have, that entrepreneurial one, and of course the team would then need to decide which idea to move forwards. Or if you're applying for the 2-year master program, there is the master thesis, which again allows you to focus on particular idea that you have and apply the learnings you developed into your particular idea. And it's likely to be different for different students. So therefore that customization would be based on your personal interests, perspectives, your goals upon studying on this program. So it's up to you to use the resources and the facilities provided. And I think it's a great note to finish on. We have just the final question, more of a statement, just to thank us also from one of the students that webinar was particularly interesting. So thank you, really appreciate and glad to hear you found it useful. That's what we're here for, to provide you this further insight into the, first of all, master program, but also student experience. And John, appreciate all your insights you shared with us today. Really grateful for you to join, to share those experiences, especially in that final stretch where there's still chance. If you got excited, if you got interested into this program, please feel free to apply by the 2nd of December. That is the final deadline extension. And then onboarding will begin 9th of December with classes from January the 6th. So just want to say thank you so much for everyone who joined us today as well. Appreciate all your amazing questions and look forward to working with you in future. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening or morning.
Goodbye.